Are you sleeping too much? On today's episode, we'll look at some of the consequences of oversleeping and some of the things that can be contributing factors to staying in bed too much. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Glad you joined me. Now, if you are a regular listener, and even if you're not a regular listener, if you're just joining us, I have been going on and on and on about our need to get enough sleep. But it is something that is very significant. However, is there such a thing as getting too much sleep? Turns out there is. The amount of sleep that we typically need varies throughout the course of our lifetime. For example, when we are younger, we need a lot more sleep. Kids and teenagers can need up to 10 hours of sleep in order to feel refreshed and alert during the day. Now, when we merge into adulthood, that's between ages of like 18 to 65. The average amount of time that we need for a good night's sleep is 7.5 to 8 hours. Now, there are some people who statistically fall outside of that range. They may need a little bit less sleep, less than 6 hours, or more sleep, 9 to 10 hours. But that's relatively rare. For the most part, if we find ourselves sleeping more than 8 hours, that may be something that needs to be investigated. So how do you know if you're sleeping too much? Well, it could be that you find yourself on the weekends having a consistent need to sleep in until 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. If you find yourself in a situation like this, it may be something that needs to be further investigated. Now, there are some types of sleep disorders, and since this is a podcast about sleep disorders, you sort of figured that I would mention this. There are some sleep disorders that do lead to hypersomnia, which is an excessive need for sleep. Things like narcolepsy and idiopathic hypersomnia. Those are medical conditions that just cause people to not only sleep more at night, but it also causes them to feel excessively sleepy during the day. So they have, low energy, memory problems, all of the same types of things that people who get too little sleep might have. Other sleep disorders that may contribute to long sleeping or oversleeping would be obstructive sleep apnea. Obstructive sleep apnea is a breathing disorder that causes multiple interruptions in your sleep at night, and it can lead you to feeling excessively sleepy during the day. I've actually seen patients who have slept a good solid 10 hours in a night during their sleep study and still wake up as a result of their sleep apnea feeling like they've been run over by a truck because they just didn't get a good solid night's sleep that was free of interruption. So having that investigated would be one of the first steps that you would want to take. There are also some behavioral issues and some medication effects that can cause us to be excessively sleepy. So, for example, alcohol and certain substances can cause us to be excessively sleepy during the day. So you may want to look at your usage of those. Some prescription medications can also cause you to be excessively sleepy. So it's going to be a good bet to talk with your doctor about that. Another medical condition that is often linked with long sleeping is depression. People who are depressed can oversleep and often do in about 15% of cases of depression. They will find themselves sleeping excessively 9 to 10 hours a night. Unfortunately, that helps to contribute to the depression. So it's best with depression to be able to get out of bed, to maintain a good sleep hygiene, and that will help over time to help ease some of the problem. Now, barring any other interrupting factor that could be leading to your excessive sleep, the problems that oversleeping leads to are often similar to the same types of issues that not sleeping enough can lead to. For example, studies have shown that increased chances of developing diabetes come with oversleeping or not sleeping enough. Interestingly, obesity as well. In a recent study, people who slept 9 to 10 hours every night were 21% more likely to become obese over a 6-year period than those who slept 7 to 8 hours a night. The researchers were careful to take into account the amount of food intake and exercise and look at those numbers respectively for those patients. So the amount of sleep time was one of the main contributing factors to whether they developed obesity. People who are prone to headaches often find that if they sleep longer, their headaches can increase. This is due to, a lot of researchers feel, to the effect of certain neurotransmitters in the brain when we oversleep, things like serotonin, and that can lead to increased chances of having a headache. People who sleep too much often report excessive back pain. Historically, we were told when we had back problems to lay flat on a board. Things have changed. Now we are recommended, medical professionals recommend that we get up and move around as much as we can, maintain regular exercise, things like that to help with that back pain. Interestingly, I have seen patients who on their first night of treatment for sleep apnea will often wake up with a stiff back the next morning. This is because their sleep has been a lot more consistent, so they haven't been moving around as much. They've been laying in one position for a lot longer than they typically do. So they may wake up the next morning and have a little bit of excessive back pain. That's something that does disappear over time. Mentioned depression previously. A lot of times insomnia can be linked with depression as well as oversleeping. As I mentioned, approximately 15% of depressed people will report sleeping too much. Some recent information from the Nurses' Health Study looked at 72,000 women, and an analysis of that data reported that women who slept 9 to 11 hours per night were almost 40% more likely to have coronary heart disease than those women who slept 8 hours. Researchers, they had not identified a reason for the connection, but they did note that those women who were oversleeping had an increased chance of heart disease. And the big one that recent research is pointing out is the chance of death. Multiple studies have found that people who sleep from 9 or more hours a night have a significantly higher death rate than people sleeping 7 to 8 hours. And again, they have no specific correlation for this, so more research is needed. A lot of researchers are quick to point out that while you may have these conditions, is it the condition that is leading to the oversleeping, or is it the oversleeping that is leading to the condition? So as we see more research, like with the research on obesity, as we see them factor in for other contributing factors, as they rule those things out, we'll see more definitive information. But as things stand right now, long sleepers tend to have a higher incidence of death rates than people who sleep 7 to 8 hours. I thought that was a really interesting statistic. Puts the need for consistent regular sleep, bumps up the priority of that in a lot of us. It does for me especially. Now, the takeaway from all of this is to look at your regular sleep habits, and if you feel that they are out of the norm or out of kilter, then talk with your doctor. Again, like with so many of the things that we talk about, it's an important opportunity for you to have a conversation with your medical professional, your doctor, your nurse practitioner, your physician's assistant. So if you find yourself sleeping more or being excessively tired during the day, talk with your medical professionals and see if they may be able to give you some instructions. Now, regardless of the reason for your oversleeping, it's always going to be beneficial to maintain good sleep hygiene. This is another thing that I have, you've heard me go on and on about in the past as well. It's important to make sure that you're having consistent bedtimes, consistent wake times. Avoid caffeine and alcohol close to bedtime, and get some regular exercise. More and more information points to the fact that our bodies need to move. And when we don't move, like when we're staying in bed too long, that can have significant effects on our lifestyle and our longevity. So please do me a favor. Get some regular exercise and watch that sleep hygiene for me, will you? I hope that this has been interesting for you. As always, please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, check out YouTube for some new content. Starting to upload more and more information there as a different way for you to be able to tune in and get some of your sleep facts. So, in the meantime, please remember to make sleep a priority, and I will talk with you again soon. Bye-bye.